already we completed the inspection of workpieces using the apparatus, the taper measurement, taper measurement. So these three, I think we completed last week, right? Or we completed five, right?
Yes, sir.
Brightness measurement as well as the comparator. So this is the third experiment is thread measurement using the stethoscope and floating carriage micrometer. Right. So is it visible? Thread is visible. What is visible to you? Is it a list of experiments or some PPT?
List of experiments.
List of experiments, sir.
Okay. Now,
No visible, sir. Thread terminals.
Sir, the slides are
Right.
visible, but your voice is very low, sir.
is it okay now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. So this is the third experiment that is a measurement of thread components using the tool makers microscope and floating carriage. Okay. Then actually we need the floating carriage. Yeah. This is the one actually the tool makers microscope we have in our lab. Same different sizes maybe available. Microscope. Okay. So what we can do is keep the component here. Place the component on this like this, maybe on which is not standing on a flat surface. Maybe we talk and here the component like this. Okay. So this V block will be placed here, right? Then if you see the component visually, and the thread profile will be like this. Okay. Now we need to check all the parameters, measure diameter, diameter, etc. So now I am taking only this part. Okay. So that is visible like this. So that will be visible like this. Now, actually this is the major diameter. So what we can do is, of course, here the threads will be there and showing just the outer line. So after placing the component here, this will be visible like this. So now by seeing from this eyepiece, okay, so this is eyepiece. Here if you observe, this is the, and this one, these two are micrometer arrangements, okay, micrometer scale or micrometer arrangement. So what will happen is, if you are rotating this one clockwise, the movement will be like this. That is, whatever component is there, that will move like this. And if you rotate this one clockwise, it will move like this. So what we can do is, initially through this eyepiece, by verifying the crosswires will be there and the eyepiece will be like this. And these crosswires, initially we adjust with any one of the thrust, okay, and here we take the reading R1, that will be noted. And then now without rotating this one, by keeping in the same position, we rotate this one from the front side clockwise, so that what will happen is the workpiece moves in this direction and the crosswire slowly come to the other position, other end. And again after reaching somewhere, then again you rotate this one and try to adjust the crosswire like this. Now you take the reading R2, but that reading should be from this one only, not this one. Why? Because we want
Major
major diameter. So that major diameter is nothing but the diameter of an imaginary cylinder which passes through all the rest of the thread. So there is nothing but this is the major diameter. Okay. So this we can able to measure by taking reading here and by taking reading here. So, but we are not considering this horizontal distance. That's why we don't take this reading. Only we take this reading. And the difference of these two, R1 minus R2 or whatever is plus or minus, because sometimes you may take this side and then you take this side, or from once you take this side and then this side, either rotating clockwise or anti-clockwise. The difference of these two gives a major diameter. Okay. So this profile is visible very clearly in a magnified view, and initially we check the crosswise. So the crosswise initially may be in any position like this or like this or like this, something. So we can able to rotate this eyepiece to adjust the crosswise like this in this position, and then without disturbing this one, we move to the other end and again we align with this one. But we want this distance, so we take only reading of this eyepiece. This is a vertical one. You take this vertical direction or maybe this direction. So or y direction. This may be x direction. Then you take reading of y1 so that you can get the diameter of this, that is major diameter. Similarly, immediately again maybe in another case, if you want to find out minor diameter, you keep the crosswise somewhere here in any of the roots and again take the reading R1. So this is a minor diameter. Again you take reading R1, or maybe you can take R3, whatever you want. Then again move to the other end and adjust the crosswire from here and coincide with this root, and that is again R2. So again this R1 and R2 gives the difference of R1 and R2 gives a minor diameter. Okay. Like this, we can able to find out major diameter distance between the crest and the minor diameter, that is distance between the roots. That is already we discussed in the class. What is major diameter? Anyone can tell?
Imaginary cylinder passing through a crust.
That is the diameter of an imaginary cylinder which is passing through all the crest of the thread is known as a major diameter. Okay, that is all the crest. Okay, and then another one is minor diameter. That is nothing but diameter of an imaginary cylinder which passes through all the roots of the thread is known as minor diameter. Okay, so these two parameters we can able to measure from this toolmaker's microscope. Okay, and again in the same arrangement, after taking the reading here without disturbing this micrometer, this is y-axis micrometer, you rotate this x-axis micrometer and you take to the another root, and again the reading R1 here and reading R2 here. The difference of these two give what is this?
Pitch.
So not only crest, you take any root also, or you take any other point and corresponding to the other point on the other side. This gives the pitch. So this pitch we can able to measure with the help of this micrometer that is on the x direction, and in the y direction you can take major diameter and the minor diameter. Okay. So in that way we can able to measure all the three parameters from this arrangement. And similarly, here in the eyepiece, once we are able to see this profile like this, so again at any point somewhere here we keep the crosswires like this. Okay, that means one of the crosswires should match with this flank and other crosswire should be perpendicular to this one. Here you take a reading R1. Then without disturbing this one and this one, you try to rotate this eyepiece. Here if you observe, the readings are there. So here the reading R1, the reading in terms of degrees, and by rotating this one, you try to rotate the crosswire will be like this. So the same crosswire which is in connect, we rotate the crosswire into this position, and then you take the reading R2, that is theta 2. Okay. So if you take difference of these two, you can get this thread angle. Maybe you can take it as alpha or 2 alpha or theta or 2 theta, whatever it may be. This thread angle is given by R1 difference of R2. Either it may be clockwise or anti-clockwise. That way I am not writing minus. The difference of these two is giving the thread angle. So we can able to measure all the three parameters using this toolmaker's microscope. That is the major diameter, minor diameter, and the third one is a thread angle. Okay. So only thing is just we have to work with a common sense. Which crosswire we are matching with this which position, and again move to the another crest, take major diameter reading. Similarly, make a root and you take to the another root, then take the two readings. So these two different gives minor diameter. These two different gives major diameter. And similarly adjust the crosswire like this, coinciding with the flank, and without disturbing this position, try to rotate, and then if required, maybe move this scale to move this crosswire to this position, but the same crosswire you need to coincide with this one. Then the reading difference between these two readings is giving the thread angle. Like this, these three parameters we are able to measure. And also pitch also we can measure by taking crosswire, this root, this crest, or this root, like this. Can measure pitch of the thread. So these four parameters we are able to measure with the toolmaker's microscope. What is the another parameter important to measure in a thread profile?
Effective diameter.
Right. So the next one is effective diameter. Okay. So can you able to measure this effective diameter in toolmaker's microscope?
No, sir. We can calculate from major and minor and thread angle.
Why?
It's theoretical, no, sir. Or we can calculate.
Yes. So major diameter is physically present here, that is from crest to crest. Minor diameter also available root to root. It is also available from any of the corresponding 2 points. Thread angle also available. But this effective diameter is nothing but what we are defining. This is the diameter of an imaginary cylinder. Okay, so this is the effective diameter, ED, or whatever you take notation. It is the diameter of an imaginary cylinder, that is which passing through or which cuts the threads in such a way that the thickness of the thread is equal to the gap between the two threads. So this is X and this is also X. In such a way we are drawing this line, and that is known as effective diameter. So this is even in the other figure also we are showing with a dotted line. So this is imaginary line and we cannot physically see in a tool maker's microscope. That's why this one we measure in a indirect method. Okay, so we have indirect methods are there. That is different methods are there. One is one wire method, or two wire method, or three wire method. So there are different methods are available to calculate this effective diameter from the available data. Okay, so what we can do is for that one we use this one, we use floating carriage micrometer. So this is a floating carriage micrometer, not this one. This is a floating carriage micrometer. So you can see here, here this is one anvil and this is another anvil, and this is the component. So we placed the component between the two anvils. This is a thread component. Okay, and here there are two supports are there. So from this support we hang one wire, and here also we hang one wire with the help of a thread. So these two wires are like this in the thread. So if this is the thread component, so one wire will be here and another wire will be here. Okay, so over the wires we have these anvils. So these anvils and this anvil, these two anvils. So these two anvils are like a tile stock. We have a cone type of arrangement is there. These two anvils are to support it, but these two anvils are to touch on this profile, and here we have a digital micrometer arrangement. Okay, so we can able to measure diameter of this component over the wires. That means this distance we can able to measure. Okay, are you clear? Are you understanding?
Yes, sir.
This is micrometer anvil. So whatever reading we are getting in the micrometer is the distance between these anvils only. Okay, so this distance we are getting, but what is the distance? The distance in between these anvils, we have a thread component as well as two wires are there like this. Why we are using two wires? Actually this anvil is a flat shape and this is a thread. So even if you touch this anvil without this wire, what will happen is the contact will be like this.
Major diameter will come.
So right, the contact will be like this. Whatever reading we are getting is major diameter, but we don't want major diameter. We want effective diameter. That's why we keep these wires and we take reading over the wires. So we represent this one with M. That is nothing but micrometer reading. So once we get this micrometer reading, but what we want actually is somewhere here, this is effective diameter. Suppose you take this is E, okay? And if you take this distance as something X, then what is M? M is equal to
Reading minus 2x.
what is reading? Reading itself is M here. I am taking micrometer reading as M.
Effective diameter plus 2x.
Right, effective diameter plus 2x. Now from this one, this is the reading we are getting from the experimental value, and we need to calculate this one. So if you know the x, then you can able to calculate E value, right?
Yes, sir.
So effective diameter is equal to M minus 2x. So this x value we can calculate from theoretical relation. So that is derivations are there for each one, that is 2-wire method, 3-wire method and 1-wire method. Only for 2-wire method we use this 14 karat micrometer, but for 3-wire method we use screw thread normal micrometer. Then or for 1-wire method also we use a normal micrometer. So here there is a derivation to calculate that x value, okay? And anyway, this I am going to discuss in the theory class in the next class. So of course this is there in the PPT, but the derivation I am going to explain in the theory class, right? So don't bother about the derivation, but just try to understand the concept. This is what we need to calculate effective diameter. And again, in each method we have different formulas from theoretical calculation. So we take the or we calculate the effective diameter from this 14 karat micrometer. So like that, in the given thread, we need to measure this one with two instruments like tool makers microscope and floating carriage micrometer, and we have another instruments also we use. This is the pitch gauge. This one also we use to verify the pitch of a thread. This one already we discussed in the linear measurement, right?
Yes, sir.
And this is also one micrometer. Already I told you this is used for 3-wire method. This is normal micrometer only. But instead of holding the thread, all these things, we have some base. This arrangement is normal micrometer only, but the value is displaying in digital. That's it. All this is micrometer arrangement only. So here whatever we are getting is the same thing, but here the 3 wires will be like this. All the 3 wires, and above the wires we have micrometer. Okay, and here also same, whatever reading we are getting is micrometer reading, and here again the effective diameter line will be there. This is E, and again here also M is equal to E plus something. If you take this one as Y, E plus 2Y, and again E is equal to M minus 2Y. So from this formula we can able to calculate what is the effective diameter if you know the micrometer reading, the Y value. So how to calculate X value or Y value in 2-wire method or 3-wire method, that we will discuss in the theory class. I will try to give. Of course, here also derivation is there, but I will explain in the theory class with in detail method. Okay, is it clear? So these are the parameters we are going to measure in the screw thread measurement. Like this, we'll keep the 3 wires and we'll take the reading. Okay, so this is measurement of effective diameter. So this is measurement of minor diameter. So this minor diameter we can also measure with tool maker's microscope or maybe by using the micrometer also. But micrometer anvils should be equipped with V type of pieces. Then the reading what we are getting is this one. Okay. And this is the normal micrometer we use maybe for measurement of a measure diameter. Okay, is it clear? So we can able to measure diameter, minor diameter, effective diameter, and the pitch of the thread and the thread angle by using different instruments. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir,
Otherwise also, yeah, just give me 2 minutes. Otherwise also, this is another instrument, optical profile projector. So here also we keep the specimen. Okay, and here we keep the graph paper or any paper, so that a small profile is visible here, maybe 40 times more larger or 20 times larger, like that. So here the thread profile we can get in a larger view. Okay, and now here sometimes we take the trace of this profile, and maybe by using the normal scale and other instrument also we can able to measure these distances, or sorry, this one. Otherwise some equipment are integrated with software, and here you can able to observe the same profile, and you can fix the 0.1 here, and you take 0.2 here, and then the software itself calculate what is the distance between R1 and R2 in the perpendicular direction. Then you can get measure diameter. Like that you take here and here, this is R3 and R4, and then the perpendicular distance if you give, so some software is there. This software is used to measure again all the parameters from this profile. But here also we cannot measure effective diameter. Why? It is a imaginary line. Okay, so these are the different instruments we use to check the accuracy of the thread profiles. So there are different instruments. Of course, all need not be used. Depends on the availability. This one we can use, or toolmaker's microscope we can use, and these micrometers also use, pitch gauges also use, micrometers also, normal micrometer, floating carriage micrometer, etc. Yeah, someone is asking some doubt.
sir, 2-wire and 3-wire methods are like same only, no, sir?
There is a difference that I will explain in the theory class.
Okay, sir.
The contact is going to change. Yeah, yes.
Sir, what is effective diameter? So important. Why is effective diameter?
I don't know whether you are from A section or B section. Did I explain in the last class? Right. So this is the profile. Okay. So major diameter is this one, right? And minor diameter is this one, and this is the effective diameter. So what is the definition of effective diameter? This thickness of the thread is equal to gap between the two threads. This is the effective diameter. For example, when you are matching this nut with this bolt, the effective diameter of this one should match with the effective diameter of this one. Otherwise, what will happen? When this part of the flank is matching or coming and mating with this one, okay, that means the gap between these two should match with the thickness of this or thickness of this. Otherwise, what will happen in this one? If you are this is more and this is less, then there may be interference. Otherwise, if this is more and this is less, then there is a clearance, right?
Okay, sir.
So all the profile is exactly matching, then only you can get smooth movement between the bolt and nut, and also there is no interference, there is no clearance, and the lifetime or functionality will be good. So that's why all the parameters should match in any of the assembly, both with the male part and the female part. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Any doubts in this?
No, sir.
Okay, so even a small things are there that we are going to cover in the theory classes in the next 1 or 2 weeks. Okay, So that's why I dragged lab up to this, because whatever we are studying in the theory, that only we are going to apply measure here, right? So, but anyway, we are coming to the end. That's why I'm parallelly starting the lab. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So the next one is the surface roughness measurement. Okay, so surface roughness measurement also same. We are going to cover in the theory class, but anyway, I just want to explain. Right. So, what is the surface roughness? Is normally if you touch any of the surface, we feel different feeling. Okay. So, suppose if you touch your mobile screen, the feeling is different. Or if you touch your pen, the feeling may be different. Or if you touch your shoe or chappals, the difference, this is different. And maybe you touch your any of the door, the smoothness is different. So what do you understand from these things? Any one of you?
Surfaces are uneven.
Yeah, suppose if you touch your mobile screen, how do you feel? This is very smooth, right?
Yes, sir.
But similarly, if you touch your notebook paper, it is also smooth, but definitely you understand the screen of the mobile and your notebook paper are not having the same finish, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And similarly, uh, even if you see your laptop or keyboard, then the finish is different. And in that one also, the keys finish is different and other part finish is different. Or suppose you take your chappals, bottom side of your chappals or shoes, what you observe?
Some pattern.
That is why the pattern is given.
Grip.
More grip.
That means there we require roughness. Okay, like chappals, shoes, or maybe tires. Okay, and such things we required a grip. Even maybe you are handling your two-wheeler handle. Normally we require a little bit of grip. If it is very smooth, then we cannot handle more time, right?
Yes, sir.
And same thing, maybe if you see the cricket, so many
Pen
times
also.
they are rubbing their hands to the floor, or why? They want
Due to
grip
sweat.
to handle the ball or to handle the bat, etc. So that's why the handle of the cricket bat is covered with some rubber, which is giving more roughness. Okay. So like this, in our daily life, in some applications we required finish, but in some applications we required roughness. Okay, like if you take bearings or if you take any lubricating channels, etc., there you required some rough surface to hold the lubricant, to hold the oil, etc. Or but sometimes if you take like a glass, or if you take your mobile screen or computer screen, etc., where we required a smooth finish, because the clarity should be very good, and when you are touching the screen, that should not hurt your screen skin, and the functionality is required because you have to touch and drag it, right? So like that, in many applications we required finish, and many applications we required roughness. Okay, fine. Of course, these all these are manufactured by different process. Not all are manufactured by machining, but here we are talking about only machining, right? So if you take any of the flat surface like this. And this surface, if you see in a two-dimensional view, this is the component, flat component. I am looking in this way, and this is the component. Okay, some flat component. So maybe I am drawing a line like this, and we can say this is a flat surface, or maybe I can say this is a smooth surface. Okay. So, but how smooth is this? That is what important. So then you take some part of this one, only this part. So if you see in a microscope, it seems to be like this. Maybe I think you are all observed the ECG output. The profile of the surface also will be like this. Okay, this one. So this is nothing but from this point to this point. This is the sampling length. That means this is the example distance I am taking to measure this one. So this distance is known as sampling length, and this is enlarged, and the total curve is like this. And then these are known as peaks, and these are known as valleys. Okay, so there are some peaks and there are some valleys in the surface. Okay, but actually we are saying that is smooth surface, but literally if you observe in a microscope, the surface will be like this, and some surface may be like this. Okay, so what is the difference between this surface 1 and surface 2? Both are not exactly flat. Okay, some deviation is there, but what you say from this one and this one?
2 has good finish.
How can you say?
Lower peaks and valleys.
Roughness is different.
Roughness height is also average roughness height.
So this is the third surface. Now you tell me what is the which one is the good?
2.
Okay, so you discard this one. You take 1 and 3. Then you can say so. This one we cannot say. Okay, because if you see this height and if you see this height may be same, but it seems to be smooth. But if you observe again, the surface may be like this, something. Okay, so that is why we have to measure different parameters on the surface to evaluate the smoothness of the surface, to evaluate the finish or quality of the surface. So these parameters are different types. One is RT, another one is RZ, RA, RMS, etc. Different. So all are roughness parameters, but this is one type, this is other type, this is other type, this is other type. So depends on these parameters, we can say whether it is which type of surface, smooth surface or rough surface, and what is the smoothness value, whether it is within the available limit or not, or acceptable or not for this particular application, etc. We can say. So we'll discuss more about these parameters in the theory class. What are the different parameters available to measure these roughness, and how to calculate these parameters, etc. But now here, if you take the experimental point of view, once if you have this profile, then only like effective diameter, these parameters also we need to calculate based on some formulas. Okay, but to calculate by using these formulas, we required certain things. That is, we need to get this profile in a visible manner, that is enlarged view. So to get this profile, we use a instrument, those are known as stylus. Okay. So again, this measurement of surface roughness is normally two types. One is contact type and another one is non-contact type. So under this contact type, we use stylus instruments. Again, in this stylus instruments, different types of there, like taliso, okay, profilometer, or stylus Hobson, uh, tallygraph, or tally. I mean, yeah, already tally for people. So, okay, profile tester, like this. Different instruments are there. So how these instruments work and what is the principle of these working, this also we discuss in the theory class. And these parameters calculation also we discuss in the theory class. But here what we need to understand is how to get this graph. That's it. So the instrument available in the lab we can keep. We'll take one workpiece, any of the workpiece, and we take the instrument somewhere here and we switch on. The instrument moves up to certain distance, and within this distance it takes the profile and it gives this profile. And from these profile values, by using the software, these values we can able to note down. And after seeing these values, we can take the decision about this one. So we have surface roughness tester in this one. Okay. So we use the surface roughness tester to measure this one. So I'll show, uh, just give me a second. I'll show you that one. Is it visible? Okay, so after the turning operation or milling operation or any of the operation, we keep the component. This is the component. Okay, we keep on the block if it is circular one. Otherwise, this flat one we will keep here. And this is the stylus. Okay, so here you can see observe this is the stylus. So this stylus backward like this and for a certain length that is known as sampling length and the stylus will be actually like this. So the stylus will be like this. Here it is a diamond probe and this is the workpiece. So it will move from this point to this point and again come back. So while moving, the up and downs of the surface are observed or the signal is sent to this instrument by this stylus and the movement is recorded in this one. And again here we can able to see the profile or we cannot see the profile exactly. From the profile already we can get the parameters whatever we want based on the software installed in this one. Or otherwise if you want the profile also we can get the profile also like ECG output and from this one also we can able to measure. So again there are so many manufacturers are there, different sizes and different accuracy of instruments are there that we will see. So we have one instrument in our lab that you can able to see. Okay, so this is about surface roughness measurement. Okay, so any doubts in this? Anyone? Is it audible or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then another experiment is measuring the taper angle on internal and external surfaces. So for that one we use sine bar and this one already we discussed this sine bar. This is taper measurement. So already we discussed about the sine bar in the theory. I think I need not explain again, right? All of it clear?
Yes, sir.
So the same, we have sine bar, we have slip gauges in the lab. We take any component and we can able to measure this angle by using this sine bar principle with the help of slip gauges and sine bars. Okay. And another one is there. This is the measurement of internal taper of any specimen. Suppose we have a circular specimen and inside we have a taper hole. So how to measure the taper angle of this hole? So this is for this one you don't require any metrology knowledge. This is normal thing only, right? So initially we keep one roller. So we keep this cylinder on any of the slip gauge, and this is actually surface plate, etc. And then here initially we keep one roller, and above the roller we keep vernier depth gauge, and this anvil is going and touching here. So we can able to measure this distance h2 from this measurement. Is it clear? Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
So this is the specimen. Okay, and I'm keeping one roller here. Here we are keeping a vernier depth gauge. This anvil is going and touching. Okay, so here we observe the reading of this one. Okay, like this one. So we take the reading here, and this is H2 we can able to measure. Then we place another roller of bigger diameter, and this is the position of the second roller. Then sometimes the roller position may be like this, or the roller position may be like this. That depends on the diameter. If the roller position is like this, then again we need to measure this height. So this is H1, or this depth, this is H1, or if it is coming upwards, then also we will keep the some support of slip gauges, and from this height we measure this depth, and from S minus this depth gives this height, right? Like that we can able to measure this H1 also. Is it clear? Are you clear?
Yes, sir.
So once we know this H1 value and H2 value, then the diameter of these cylinders we measure with the help of a normal micrometer. Okay. So then we try to know the diameter D1 and diameter D2 from normal micrometer. And then what we can do is we measure height of the cylinder maybe by using any of the scale also. Okay. So once you have all these parameters, by using these similar triangles, so if you take this one, so that means similar triangle means if you extend this one, that is if you take the center line, and if you extend this one, this is going to be one triangle, right? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
And similarly, this is also having the same, because this surface and this surface are parallel, and this is the same line, and this is also same. Instead of this line, somewhere else we are taking, and this is another triangle, similar triangle, right? So in the figure you take this one as another triangle. So here also you can get one triangle with this roller, and with this also you are getting one triangle. So from similar triangles formula you can derive that angle that is with a small trigonometric relations. We can able to find out what is the theta value. Okay. So if you have a metrology textbook, in that one we have one chapter that is miscellaneous measurements. In that chapter, this type of so many examples are there. Only thing is you require just a common sense how to measure these parameters, and then you require some trigonometric relation or triangle relations, etc. From this one we can able to derive this angle by the similar triangle principle or something. Okay. So just you try to derive this one on your own. Okay. So you can get this relation for this one. Okay. Maybe suppose this is like this and this is the depth, then this may be going to change. It may be plus. Okay. Do you understand what I am saying?
Yes, sir.
Like that, this plus or minus may be changed, but only thing is you have to derive the relation for this angle. Depends on the position of the roller. So this one, note down figure and you try on your own this derivation. This is just a simple triangle formula, similar triangle formula from the simple trigonometric relations. The only thing is you have to find out this angle from this one and from this one. Okay, is it clear? And you know already external taper angle we can measure with the sine bar. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. So these are the different experiments, and two more experiments are there. That is one is coordinate measuring machine. So that is also I cover in the theory part, because again that is I need to explain about the machine and the different machine techniques, etc. And also another one is also same. So The remaining things I cover in the next 2 weeks in the theory part. And also my PhD scholars will help you to take the readings and to understand how we can do the experimentation, etc. Okay, so they will create one drive or any Google Classroom, and they will share with you all these materials, videos, etc. Or otherwise they will create one folder and they will share with you, and also they will let you know what to write in the record and how to write, etc. So still, if you have any doubts, please approach me. Okay, and don't. I mean, if you don't any understand or if they are not properly communicated with you, and if you have any issue regarding the lab, you just talk to me without informing me at the end. Don't. I mean, don't take any negative things, right? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Because remaining things they'll assist you to get the videos of experimentation or reading, etc., etc. But in that process, if you find any difficulty or if you are not understanding or any drawbacks or any issues are there, immediately inform me so that I will be taken care. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right. So maybe before next class, they'll come in contact with you and they'll let you know what to do in the next. I mean, regarding the writing the record or observation, etc., whatever. Also, they'll give you some data to tabulate or to calculate any of the things. Okay. So if you have any doubts, please ask me. Otherwise, this is about the 5 experiments, theoretical, I mean, demonstration, and the remaining things I'm going to cover in the theory class, maybe in the next 4 to 5 classes. Okay. See, this metrology goes together, theory class and lab, because all this again we are going to study there about the instrument, about the measurement, etc. So in the starting itself also we cannot do all the experiments, but once all the syllabus is covered, then only you can able to understand all the experiments and you can able to do these experiments. Okay. Right. So if you have any doubts, please ask me. Otherwise, maybe you can leave the class. In due course, I will let you know what to do.